Welcome everyone to the annual call for Public Artists and Support Services Informational Workshop. My name is Veronica Ripple, and I manage the Public Art Division for the City of San Antonio. We are very happy that you have joined us for this workshop. Our annual call is currently open, and the purpose of this workshop is to make it easier for everyone to get familiar with the process and the information to be able to apply to this annual call. We have a lot of projects planned to start next year, and we need artists to work on them. We're hoping to have a lot more artists apply for this call from each district here in San Antonio, as well as from Texas in general. Can we have the PowerPoint up, please? Thank you. So I want to introduce our team. We have Debbie Bracasiter, the Director of the Department of Arts and Culture, the Public Art Project Management Team formed by Bianca Alvarez, Kimberly Mireles, and Jordan Patrias, and myself, Veronica Ripple, Public Art Division Manager. Our team has prepared a great presentation with a lot of information to cover, so without further ado, please welcome one of our project managers, Jordan Patrias.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you, Veronica. Like Veronica said, my name is Jordan Patrias. And throughout tonight's presentation, you can send us questions directly by clicking on the chat icon at the bottom of your screen. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So to submit the questions, use the chat button and make sure to scroll down to everyone so that we can all see your question and respond. We are going to do our best to make sure that we respond to your questions by the end of this meeting, and if we do not, we will follow up with you afterwards. You can ask questions at any time. You don't have to wait until the end. So whenever your question pops up, please feel free to chat with us. And I just want to let everybody know that this meeting will be recorded and it will be posted to our website, and we will send a copy to all of the registrants afterwards in case you want to use it for guidance in applying. Next slide, please. So today we're going to talk about an overview of our public art program. We're going to talk about the pre-qualification categories, some artist development, application pointers, answer any questions, and then we will do a full application demo, and we will provide any contact information. So if you're just here for the beginning portion of this presentation, which is to hear a little bit more about the public art itself, then you can stay for that, and then we will break into the demo portion, and if you choose to stay for that and see how the full application is ran through, then that's great. Next slide, please. So just to give a little bit of information in case you're on the fence about what public art is, the public art that the City of San Antonio does is art that's in a public place that has been through a public engagement process to determine where the art will be placed, who the artist will be, and what the themes and inspiration are for the art. It is approved by our Arts Commission. It's managed by a public art manager like myself and Kimberly and Bianca, and it's usually paid with by public funds. Next slide. So to give you a little bit of an idea about our public art process, we have this graph here, and you can see that we do have a rather extensive process that each project goes through in order to be completed. So the minimum time it roughly takes to go from start to finish is about 18 months per project. We do have the Arts Commission and Public Art Committee and stakeholders that review and or approve at various steps, and we do a number of these community engagement events. And so you can see that we start with an Essay Speak Up community engagement event initially, and then we end with a wonderful dedication ceremony to celebrate all of the hard work that the artists put into the project, and that's exactly why we need you to apply, so that we can have this great process. Next slide, please. So we really want to see different points of view. So even if you haven't had a public art commission, we do want to see what your practice and your experience is and what you can uniquely offer to projects. So some of the categories that we're looking at for public artists are 2D artists, 3D artists, muralists, sculptors, designers. Even if you don't have a commissioned public art experience, we want to make sure that your application can show what you're capable of through both your writing and work samples. And we would love if you could share with us your website in this application as well. For support services, we have even more categories. So we're looking for project management and coordinators, art handlers, curators, writers, conservators, photographers, videographers, nonprofit art agencies, fabricators, installers, and graphic designers, but that's not all. That's not limited. That's just to give you an example. We're really looking for professionals that can help us in the public art project throughout the process. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to hand it over to Kimberly Morales to talk a little bit more about us.
Thanks, Jordan. So I wanted to elaborate a little more on the public artists and the support services and what it means to be pre-qualified. So we call it a pre-qualified list, but a pre-qualified list is a list of artists and support services that has been pre-qualified by City Council, so that when it comes time to making a contract, we can have an easier time contracting with a vendor rather than having to go with each individual project to City Council. So once you're on a pre-qualified list, and that list is seen by the Department of Arts and Culture, by our Public Art Committee, by the San Antonio Arts Commission, and then finally by City Council. And once City Council adopts the pre-qualified list as a whole, those artists are eligible for 3 years to be on that list. And the pre-qualified list is where we look at our artists and make short lists for individual projects. Now, being on the pre-qualified list does not guarantee a contract or a project, but that is where we have permission from City Council to work with on different projects. Next slide. So again, just to go over the process, the first step is you need to apply. We can apply for you, so please apply, and this is the first step in applying, so thank you for joining us tonight. Your application, once you submit it, and after the deadline, once you submit it after the deadline, we will score it, but submit it before, sorry for the language there. So we will score each application, and once we score the applications, the top applicants will go to our Public Art Committee for review, and from there to the San Antonio Arts Commission, and from there to City Council. And then once City Council approves the list, you'll get a notification from us of whether you made it to the pre-qualified list. So I have a question here. How long does artist application remain active on pre-qualified list? So once you're on the list, you're on there for 3 years. So after those 3 full years, you'll have to apply again. Next slide. So as I mentioned, there's a lot of public artists who are on our pre-qualified list currently, and we are looking for all kinds of artists. You can see here 2 examples of our most recent public art projects. On the left is Door of Equality by Mexican artist Sebastian. On the right is an art piece at the Riverwalk Public Art Garden by artist Carlos Cortez and Doroteo Garza called Nahaham. I'm sorry, I probably mispronounced that. But these are 3 artists who are on our pre-qualified list that were on artist selection panels and then approved to be artists on there. And we have another question, do we need to register as a vendor with the city? So you do not need to register yet. Like I said, being on the pre-qualified list does not guarantee you a contract. If we get to a contracting phase, we'll walk you through all of that. Next slide. So another part of the public artist application is that we ask you to self-identify your level of artist. So we have emerging public artists have had no to one project, and those projects have had budgets of up to $10,000. We have mid-career artists, public artists who have had from 1 to 5 public art projects and have worked with budgets of up to $100,000. Then we have established public artists who have worked on over 10 projects and have worked with budgets of over $100,000. Now this, if you're not a public artist or you're looking to become one, this can seem a little confusing, but just know that this is totally your call to self-identify which level you're at. And we use this in our selection panel to know what level an artist is at. That way we're not judging an established artist against an emerging artist, judging them on the same measures. Next slide. So here are some photos of art services that we have used. This is a rigging company that we have used to move sculptures and install these heavy sculptures in different areas of town. These are from our Sebastian in San Antonio exhibition. Next slide. So we also, as Jordan mentioned, work with a lot of support services. On the left there, we worked with a graphic designer and a marketing firm to create our Sebastian in San Antonio commemorative book for the exhibition. And on the right, you can see we work with filmmakers to make dedication videos or do marketing and promotion. So there's a lot of support services that that we need and could potentially use. So please, if you know somebody or are somebody with support services, go ahead and apply. And even if you think you don't quite know how we would use you. Have a question here. Can you explain why writers are support? Why wouldn't a writer be a designer writer? So we call a writer would be a support services, and that's not meaning that they're lesser than the public artists. A lot of the times they're just as important and have a lot more experience, but you know, we create artworks, and sometimes those artworks do have writing. So if you're on the fence about whether as a writer you would be a public artist or support services, please, you can apply to both. And, you know, we do look at both. And if there's a need for a writer to do more art-related stuff, then we'll look at the public artist. If there's a need for a writer to write a catalog or write something, then we can also look for support services. So I encourage everybody, if your craft falls into both categories, go ahead and apply for both. Next slide. And at this point, I'm going to pass it on to Bianca Alvarez, who's going to take it from here.
All right. Thank you, Kimberly. So, so here we are looking at a map of active and upcoming projects that fall within our 2017 to 2022 bond cycle. So the red dots represent current active projects that have artists selected. Some have other contractors as well, like fabricators or installers, but not all. And then the blue dots are upcoming projects that still need at least an artist selected for the project. So for some of the dots as well, there's a couple of projects in that area. So you can see we have a lot of work to do together. with over 30 projects total within the next 2 years, at least that fall within this 2017 bond. So, and then in 2022, we'll be starting another bond cycle, which means that there will be even more opportunities that have yet to be identified. So this includes public artists along with support services. So from that full list that you saw earlier in this presentation, I'm seeing a couple of questions coming up here. If we have participated in helping bring large public art projects to fruition, but have not revived a budget as the project artist directly, does that factor into how we identify as emerging, mid-level, et cetera? So if you were, say, subcontracted by an artist for a major project, you should totally include that in how you are self-identifying your experience. I hope that helps answer the question. So that's, and depending on your role in it too, like if you're helping fabricate or say it's a mural and you painted, then and you're part of a team, then totally include that as, I would include that as a project. Another question, if you are a part of a literary arts nonprofit, oh, they're rolling in here, I'm trying to keep up. Could you be contracted as a support position only? That is, let's see, no, you can apply for our public art application as well. If there's any confusion, I say apply for both. But in some cases, there are occasions where we contract with a nonprofit to help us maybe identify artists or help us with community engagement. So you can apply for both. Let's see, question. If we have participated, okay, that one I think I've already answered. It looks like it was repeated. And another individual says, I'm not sure, I can't see the PowerPoint. Can you send me the document later? So yes, we will follow up after this meeting, maybe not exactly tonight. We need some time to gather all of these materials. We are recording the presentation, and we will send a follow-up email to all registrants with this PowerPoint information. So if you can't see it, I'm sorry. I know for some there's like a lag and maybe connectivity issues, but we will be sending the presentation out afterwards. And let's see. Okay, I think we're at a nice little stopping point here. We'll go to the next slide. Okay, so once this part of our presentation, we're looking at insurance, and this really comes after an artist has been selected for a project or a commission or support services as well. So once you get a project or a commission with the city, you will be required to have some type of insurance at the time of contract signing. So this is farther down the road. You do not have to have this insurance, these types of insurance at the moment to be on our pre-qualified list. It's not a requirement or anything that we ask in the application. So please don't let that discourage you from applying to our open call. This is more about, transparency. We want to let you know that if you are selected for a project, that these are some of those expectations, just so you can be prepared. So when it comes to contracting and insurance, we will walk you through the process. But for now, all you need to know is that if you get a project, congratulations, and we'll just take things a step at a time from there when it comes to contracting and these things, and even registering as a vendor with the city. I know that was a comment that was made earlier. So the rule, though, for insurance is required for arts funding, but we don't have that for our pre-qualified list. Let's see, we have some questions that have come in. I heard that our organization had to be 3 years old in order to apply. However, we were actively working as individuals until last year when we incorporated. Are we eligible? That is a very good question, and I will have to I will have to get back to you on that one. So I will make a note of that and find out for sure.
Hi, Bianca. I'm going to interject really quick. So I believe that 3-year-old eligibility is for arts funding and is not for this. So that is, arts funding is something different that our department does, and for the pre-qualified list, you are more than welcome to apply without being 3 years old.
Thanks, Jordan. Thanks for the help. So let's see, where we have another question. Where can I find the application? So the application is through GoSmart, and when we send a follow-up email, we will include all of this information as well along with the link. So if you go to our website, it will also direct you to the application link. And let's see. Okay, one more question. How are the locations for public art determined, and who makes those recommendations and determinations? If there is a particular neighborhood we as a nonprofit arts agency want to advocate for to have public art placed, what is that process? So a lot of our public art projects are tied to the bond cycle. So whether it's for infrastructure improvements or facilities, a lot of our projects are tied to that. So what we do, though, when we're scoping for potential locations for public art, we definitely reach out to area stakeholders, neighborhoods, neighborhood associations, organizations within that vicinity to help us develop a plan. So that's very, very early on before any kind of, project initiation happens or we begin taking steps to building public art in those sites. So I hope that answers your question there. Yes.
I want to interject a little bit, also some information. So these locations are brought to council, and council approves them when the bonds are approved. So these locations have been already pre-approved. And the other thing is the goal is to have artwork in every district. So the money that the public art division gets to do works of art, we divide them evenly into all the 10 districts. That way all the districts get the same amount of funding to locate artwork in every district. Now, from this money, this bucket of money may be divided into 2 or 1 project or sometimes 3 projects, depending on the type of project. If it's a mural, we can probably do a few of those, 2 or 3. If it's a large sculpture, more likely they will only get 1 large project. But the goal is to have artwork everywhere in every district in San Antonio. Thank you.
And I see that there is another question asking if there are regular instances that you need project managers, coordinators, and curators, even with your existing staff. So it really is a project-by-project basis, but that is definitely something that we are interested in and something that we are always looking for. So if you do have experience in these areas, we would love for you to apply. I see another question that says, can you kindly clarify the process? Does staff make the decision about the artist to the commission for the project and select from the pre-screened roster, or does the Public Art Board select from the roster? So once our pre-qualified list has been established and we do the internal review, we will take the list for approval by the Public Art Committee, the Arts Commission, and City Council. Then once we have that list, say there's 300 people on the list, then we can think of an artist shortlist for the project, and we will take that artist shortlist for an artist selection committee. So for that artist selection committee, we have someone from the Public Art Committee and the Arts Commission. We have stakeholders in the community. We have a community representative, and we have someone from the city client department. So if it's a parks project, we'll have someone from the Parks Department. If it's Public Works, we'll have someone from Public Works. And city staff will be non-voting. So we take it for the community and community stakeholders. for the artist selection. I see a question that says, I recently graduated with a BFA in film and TV. Will I need an LLC, or can I apply as an individual to be a contract documentary filmer for city projects? You are more than welcome to apply as an individual, and having an LLC is not something that is required. And then I see, are project concepts generally predetermined, or is there a process for project proposals by pre-qualified artists? Should we include prospective project ideas and designs in our application? So this is something that I will touch on a little bit later in the presentation, but once you are on the pre-qualified list, we ask that you do not solicit anyone from the city, whether it's our department, council members, mayor, city manager, that you don't solicit any of these individuals for a project or proposal. So we will come to the short list or selected artists from projects that we have available. And the project theme is not predetermined. We have our SA Speak Up community engagement events in which we ask the community what themes they would be most interested in seeing. So I will hand it back to Bianca. I don't see any more questions.
Thanks, Jordan. Yes, so we can go to the next slide. Okay, so artist development. We understand that a big part of our role as project managers and working for the city is also that of public servant. So we take this role quite, seriously. It's important for us to work with our arts community and help our talent and artists grow. So in the past, we've done that through our mentorship course, where artists would select to participate in this course through the open call application. The course included in-person classes on various how-tos, from developing a concept to project timeline, very, very theoretical. And so, but due to COVID, we are really reimagining what artist development looks like in this time. And so we've had to get a little creative with ourselves. And, when in-person classes aren't an option because of social distancing, here we have a couple of examples of what we've done recently as well. So we're looking at artist Doroteo Garza, whose artwork, collaborative artwork we saw at the Riverwalk Public Art Garden a few slides earlier. And we're looking at Ashley Mireles and Cade Bradshaw as well in the image right below. So they participated in our, what you could say was the traditional mentorship course. But what we also did that was different during this time was we were able to build on their professional development in other ways by collaborative opportunities. So we paired them with established public artists or architects and engineers to help build an actual public art project. So, really moving to more hands-on experience that was, impactful and resulted in a public art project that will be here for generations to come. So other things that we've done to help with artist development include guided design workshops with artists that we've contracted for other projects, where a lot of the times us as project managers, we work side by side with the artists or with a team, and sometimes for days or weeks on end, just really side by side in the studio, masks on or virtually, to help ensure success of the project. So if you're an emerging artist, this is your opportunity to really share your unique and distinct capabilities. Show us what you've got in this application, and we can work together to set you up for success in your project. For future projects, sometimes all you need is that one project to, open the door for more to come, and that's really what we want to do. So we'll do our best to build the best collaborative partnership. Even if you're a 2D artist and you think you'd never build a sculpture enter the public art realm, we will establish the right team, with you. So whether it's connecting you with engineers or fabricators, that's what we'll do. That's part of our job, and that's what we want to do. But first, the only way to do that is if you send in your application. So let's see, next slide. Okay, so here we're looking at the timeline for our open call. So to go from open call applications to the pre-qualified list. So our deadline for application submissions is January 18th, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. Central. So I know that sounds really weird, 4:30, but the cutoff is at that time, 4:30, January 18th, 2021. And the following week, by January 26th, 2021, our public art team will review and score, or by the Department of Arts and Culture will review and score the submitted application. So make sure you hit submit at the end. A lot of times we see where people have maybe started an application but never hit submit, or they're just in progress and they just linger. So please hit submit. February 2nd, 2021, Public Art Committee will review the top artists, and February 9th, 2021, our San Antonio Arts Commission will review that list of artists, and then for spring 2021, we will take that final approved list from our commission to the City Council for approval, and then we will deliver the results. They will be emailed to everybody who applied. Next slide. Okay, and I think here is where I kick it off to Jordan.
Yes, thank you. So now we just want to get into a little bit on some application do's and don'ts. So do be sure to include images, include descriptions and budgets for your work samples, and if you have one, include your website. Also be sure to include your resume, because even if you don't have the most up-to-date work samples or something comes along between now and the spring and you have it updated on your website or your resume, that is something that we can easily access, and we do look at resumes and websites. Do use this video sample and application reference guide that we provide. Contact us with any technical problems with the online application. Ask a friend or colleague to review your application prior to submission. Consider all categories that you might be available for. You will, as Kimberly mentioned, need to apply separately to be a public artist and a support service if you want to be considered for both. Do save throughout so that you don't lose your application. Be sure, as Bianca said, to click that submit button by 4:30 on January 18th. And really check to make sure that you received the confirmation message so that you didn't think that you hit submit but then missed it accidentally. And then you are more than welcome to follow up with us on any opportunities and make sure that we have given you the feedback on if you were put on the list or not. Next slide, please. Now for some don'ts. Don't procrastinate. Don't wait till the last minute. We understand that the application can be a little bit long and technical difficulties come up, but just like that 11:59 p.m. homework assignment, don't wait to do it till 11:50. Don't contact us to review your application or portfolio prior to the deadline. That's just not fair to everybody else, so we can't do that. Don't assume that creating your profile is the same thing as actually applying to the call. And as I mentioned before, do not contact any of the City of San Antonio's council members, mayor, city management, or city staff, including arts and culture or not arts and culture, to lobby or propose any projects. Let's see, I have some questions. Do you commission work for indoors or only statues outdoors? Yes, we do commission work indoors and outdoors. For example, we have some art that is a project going on currently right now for both City Hall and City Tower, which are indoor projects, and we do have some coming up. And then another question, do I include projects in which I have been head assistant? Yes, absolutely. please include any projects in which you think are applicable to this. And make a note if you were the head assistant or not. Next slide. Okay, so here is some contact information. So you are more than welcome to contact myself, Jordan Petrius. My email is jordan.petrius@sanantonio.gov. My number is 210-207-1434. If you have any other questions, you can contact our public art email or go to the department website. We do have some technical assistance documents. So we do have a PDF on the website that has much of what we covered, including the do's and don'ts and screenshots of the application showing you step-by-step how to apply. And we will have this recorded, sent out to you, and posted on the website so you can follow the demo that I will do later also. Question, how important is it that artists are from San Antonio or Texas versus nationally or internationally? I lead a culturally specific art nonprofit, and there are not many, if any, locally professional artists that would likely qualify for a project like this. But I'm trying to encourage some very established national and international artists to apply that represent the culturally specific area that our arts organization promotes and that represents the culture of many San Antonio residents. So we encourage everyone to apply. We love our local San Antonio artists, but we also have a large list of national and international artists. We do have a project coming up with an international artist. We have another one with a national, and we really just encourage everyone to apply because it's really a project-by-project basis. Another question. Our company works with artists nationally and internationally. We also supply support service regionally. Do we have to apply through our company for both? No, you can just apply once. So I think that there's going to be some more questions coming in, and I'm not sure if everybody is going to want to stay for the application demonstration. So I think that we will give it about 2 minutes and see if more questions come in, and then we'll move on to the demo, or however long we need. We don't need to cut it at 2 minutes.
Jordan, I was just going to say, for that last question, maybe I'm reading it differently, but if you want to be considered for as a public artist and support services, you do have to apply for both, but your company is one. You do one application for public artists and one application for support services.
Okay, yes, you are correct. I do apologize. I did read that wrong. So yes, if you are both an artist and an art support services, so let's say, for example, you're a painter and you're an art installer, you do have to have separate applications for your painting and for your art installing. You can't just do one. Let's see, is there a limit to applications? There's not a time limit to applications. You can come back and go as you need, and there is a limit to how many times you can apply. You can apply to be a public artist once, and you can apply to be a support service once. I hope that that is answering your question. And then also, if you are part of a company or business, you can apply as your business and as an individual. Is minority certification necessary for qualification? No, it is not. Okay, great. So I think I did answer for the question on the limit. That yes, one application for an artist and one application for a support service.
And to elaborate on that, if you're applying as both, as Jordan, in the example Jordan mentioned, as a artist, as a painter, and then as a art installer, make sure that your resume that you attach to each application reflects the work for that service. So if we get a resume as a public artist that is for an installer, then we can't we don't have anything to judge you as an artist by. So just make sure that you tailor your application to what you're applying for.
Oh, and also to elaborate on that, Kimberly and Jordan, so say you want to apply as a public artist, as an individual, you would submit that application. If you're part of a collective as well, and your group decides to apply as a public art or for the public art application, you can do that as well. So as long as, like Kimberly said, that your work samples reflect the work that you've done either as an individual or as a part of that collective, that would be an occasion where maybe 2 public art applications would be submitted.
Okay, so I see another question, and it says if we're successful at getting pre-qualified but never selected for a project, can we give feedback as to why not? So we have had historically on our pre-qualified list upwards of about 300 people, and it's just not possible to have everyone get a commission all the time. We don't have as many projects as we have artists, and we do try and make sure that we can get as many artists represented as possible, but it's just not always possible to get everyone. And we do not share who has been shortlisted for a project. We do just share the artist that was selected. If we represent the artist, do we have to apply as the artist himself through the individual application, or can we apply as the company? That is a good question. If you are applying as the company and you represent multiple artists, then I would think that we would consider you more as a business. So if you're really trying to represent just one particular person, then I would suggest applying as the individual artist.
And I got a question here. If we have minority certifications, does that help? If you want to list your certifications in your resume, that way we can see everything that you have, please do.
Would a nonprofit need to submit a video or a resume as an applicant for this process if they submitted as a support service? So if you are only submitting for a support service, we do, okay, I understand now. So I'm understanding this as just being for support services only, not trying to apply for an artist and a support service. We definitely like to see resumes and see all of the things that you have accomplished, but showing your website, giving your mission statement and narrative, talking a little bit more about you, and just helping us get a sense of who you are, what you do, and what you've done will really help us. So it's not required to have a video or a resume, but it definitely helps us be able to understand what you're doing.
I think for nonprofits or for agencies, we want to be able to, you have to tell us what skills you have, what services you provide, so that when a need comes up, we know exactly who you are, what you're about, so that we aren't second guessing, is this something they do, is this not? So just, try to give us all your options so that when that time comes, we know who you are and what you're about.
I think it's just kind of think of it as you're applying for a job. The more, in this case, this is one of those cases that more is more. The more information you give us, the more examples of your work, projects that you have done in the past. That helps us get an idea of your skills or your qualifications, what type of experience you have, both as an artist and as support services. There's really not a difference. It's really showcasing what you're capable of, so we can make a better decision when analyzing what you're bringing to the table.
And if you are an artist in a support service, you are welcome to say in your application if you have multiple mediums. So if you're a painter, a photographer, a sculptor, you can list everything that you do. We're not trying to put you into one box and say that you're just a painter. And for support services, you can list as many categories that you can do. There's no limit to that either. So if you can do everything that was listed on the PowerPoint slide and more, then by all means, please list everything that you're able to do. I see another question that says, what kind of organizations is this opportunity open to? It is open to everything that you listed. It's open to individuals, nonprofits, companies, all of that. And what kinds of set-asides are given special consideration? So we do have optional demographic questions that you can answer or you cannot. It's optional, and you can choose to put that on your application if you wish. Thank you all for the wonderful questions. We're loving this dialogue. Please keep them coming if you have more. Okay. So can you discuss considerations for performance art media, including dance and theater, as part of program criteria? So for this, the public artist is looking more towards visual art rather than dance and theater. Now, of course, art is subjective, and we have had projects that include sound and are more performative, but we are looking for visual art, and the projects that we create, we are seeking them to have a longevity of, at the bare minimum, around 35 years. So for these performance pieces, we would really want it to be something that could be tangible and lasting. So if an artist proposed a concept doing something that is more on the performative side that could have a longevity, that is something that could be considered. So when we look at websites and resumes, we can, or we do look at all experience and not just large-scale public art. So we definitely take into consideration if maybe you're an emerging public artist, but you're a very advanced and skilled studio artist, and that is definitely something that we will take into consideration. So I am not seeing any more questions. So at this point, I am going to move on to the application demonstration.
So while they're figuring that out, I just want to say again on behalf of all of us, we really want to encourage everybody to apply for this pre-qualified list. This is, we choose people from this pre-qualified list. So we want all of your names to be on there, and we want to be able to give our artist selection panels a wide array of artists and different points of view. So please apply. Please encourage your friends, your neighbors to apply. Another thing is the application will ask you for your council district. So if you don't know it, there is a way to look it up. So again, please include as much information, as much images, as much experience as you have, so that we can really consider everybody for this.
Okay, thank you so much, Kimberly, and thank you all for bearing with us in these little short technical difficulties. Okay. So, okay. So, really quickly before I get into the demonstration event, I do just want to show everybody that on our website we do have everything listed for the open call. So we do have this awesome informational guide right here as a PDF, and that is what has the screen captions showing everything that I'm going to show you. It has some frequently asked questions and the application do's and don'ts. We have a tab here for public artists, support services, and the timeline. So first things first, you're going to go to sanantonio.gosmart.org, and then you will log in. I am going to log in really quick. Okay. Okay. So once you're in the GoSmart and you've logged in, and you can scroll all the way down, and here you will see the two applications that we have currently. So we have the 2021 Call for Public Art Qualifications Public Artists, and then we have the support services. So it'll give you a brief description, and then you are going to click Start below. So here you're going to get the first tab is going to be the application information. So this is going to have background on it. It's going to talk about the Public Art Mentorship course, which Bianca mentioned that we're not doing currently because of not being able to get together in person. And then it will give you the evaluation and selection information. It will say that restriction on communication cannot lobby for projects, and it will tell you what the applications are scored on. So then you go to the next page, and here is the basic profile. So I am applying as an individual artist. My name is Jordan. My address is 123. And then you just make sure that you fill out everything that has the star. So here is key, really making sure that you put your website if you have one. And then we'll move on to if you have a video, you can link that, or an online portfolio different from your website, you can link that. You will then upload, or you will write in your artist statement, and then you can upload your resume. So I will do a sample of that.
While Jordan uploads, there's a question about what is the deadline. The deadline is June 18th at 4:30 p.m. I think it's a Monday, January 18th, correct?
January 18th.
Yeah, January 18th at 4:30 p.m.
So we'll do this. So here you chose your resume, and you can upload that. And then you need to have 3 references. And really quickly, back to the resume. So just double checking that your link did pop up is key. So you'll need your reference 1 and 2, 3, and then make sure that you click save as you're doing this so that you don't lose any work. Now, unfortunately, when you click save, it does take you back to the beginning, and you can toggle through the pages over here, but I like to go through and just double check that I didn't miss anything, and then go to the next slide. So then you will move on to practice level, which is the self-ID. So I'm going to say that I'm emerging, and I've never been pre-qualified. But if you have been, you can select the years. And so then, are you a resident? Yes. And so here is that function where if you don't know what council district you're in, you can select this to find it, or you can just select from the list.
And we have another question, Jordan. They are asking if this is work reference or just friends. We want work reference. If you have not done anything formal, in an official work setting, if you have a teacher, a professor, somebody that can vouch for the work you have done in the past.
Okay. Are there any more questions?
No, not right now.
No, keep going.
So the first question is asking where your home is, where your residence is, and that council district. And then you can also put in where your business is. So if you live in District 1, but you have a business in District 8, you are more than welcome to put that in. Or if it's your studio, if you have a studio away from where you live. You can click if you're interested in attending the mentorship course. And if, for San Antonio residents or others familiar with the city, in which neighborhoods or areas are you most interested in working? So that is something that we definitely look at when projects are coming down. So if you say that you're really interested in working with District 1, we will keep that in mind. And then here...
Sorry, Jordan, that's also a good place to put if you grew up in a certain area of town. You could say I spent 20 years in District 1, but now I live in District 3. So there's a lot of, if you have any affinity or tie to a certain district, those are good places to put it. And there's also a question on what if you live in an area that is not a San Antonio City Council district?
So you can put no district, or you can put your zip code when you put in your address. And if we see that it says San Antonio and there's not a district, then we have the capability to look it up. And there's a number of artists that are living in San Antonio but don't have a council district. And if you are living somewhere that doesn't have a district but you have a business or studio that does, please put that. Or if you're interested in working in a district, even if you don't live in one, please put that as well. So the next is which of the following... Question. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. What if you're a collective of several districts in Bexar County?
List them. You're more than welcome to list all of the districts that you are affiliated with.
And I just wanted to emphasize a little bit that this information is really important. Sometimes, when it comes to our stakeholders and community engagement, and they say they want, it's important for an artist from their area to be considered. Like this is the information that also helps us as well.
Absolutely. Okay.
There's a comment about, sorry, Jordan, references will be challenging. As I just began painting last year, I see what I can do. Again, if you just began painting, it's fine. But I'm sure if you have held another type of job, that helps as well. If you're a student, again, a teacher, a professor, a mentor, somebody that can attest, maybe you have just started painting, but if you have other type of experience, professional experience, any type of experience in terms of a job, we want to know, that you're reliable, that you, your work ethic, things like that we're what interested in.
Okay, so for all of the opportunities, like I said, we don't limit. You can click all of them. You can click one of them. No limit, and there's quite an extensive list here. You can also list if you're interested in working with any particular group. If you're interested in all of them, that's great. And then you can list if there are groups that we did not have included. So then we move on to some questions, and they are required that you answer. So the first question is, artists working on CASA commissions are expected to work closely with city departments, neighborhood groups, community organizations, and the general public. Explain your approach to community engagement. Describe a project that required community input or participation and how that engagement impacted the final project. So you'll write your response here. The next question is, CASA projects often require collaboration between artists, writers, landscape architects, engineers, fabricators, etc. Describe a time where you were part of a team in creating a new artwork. Who was involved and how did you work together to achieve this project? Next is describe a time that you took a risk in creating a new project or commission. What was the result? And then finally is from addressing larger social themes to immediate project surroundings. How do you engage with social and cultural context when developing your work? So again, click save, and it will load and bring you back to the top. And now here, we are going to move into the upload artwork samples. So we have the instructions listed here. So we ask that you follow the steps below and upload your attachments. So you can click on any of these buttons here, and you can select an existing file that you might have already had in your media library if you've done that, or you can upload a new file. So upload a new file. So it'll take you to this page over here in your media library. So choose the file. And so we'll just say that this is an image. So we'll say that this is a painting of a house And then what you need to do is you need to click these additional fields below. And here you will write your name, if you had a collaborator, the year that you completed, and then you need to have your retail price. And then the height is optional, and then we ask for an artwork description. And then you can click on the upload file. So once you've done that, this is having you be in your media library away from the application. You need to click this button right here to return to the application, and you'll have it. So then you're going to have to click on the attach image again, and you can attach this one from your media library that you already have. And you can click return to the application. So you can attach up to 10 images, you can attach up to 10 audio files and videos, and then you can attach any documents also. So now we go into the demographic question, and so we do have it here that we do not discriminate, and it is optional, all of these. So it's your age, race and ethnicity, and then if you chose self-describe, you can write that here. Same with gender, you can write it here. Sexual orientation, and you can write it here, and then save your work. And then we'll go to the next. And so here you can see that I did not meet all of the requirements. So if you don't meet all of the requirements, you can go back and answer. So I am just going through and writing in the answers to all of the required questions.
We have a question in the chat, Jordan. It says, could you clarify what is being asked in the third question? How do you engage with social and cultural context?
Okay, so here's the question. How do you engage social and cultural context? So for that, we're just really trying to look and see like what kind of themes you create in your artwork and in your practice, if they have any social themes and any cultural context. For example, something very culturally specific to San Antonio, or something that is very specific to a neighborhood. That is something that we're interested in seeing what you do with your artwork.
There is a question that says, if someone we want to write a reference for us is also applying to the open call, are they allowed to write a reference letter for us? Yes, I mean, as I mentioned in this case, the more information you upload, if you want to have a reference uploaded with all the documents, that is fine. Think about, it has to be a professional reference. That's what really we're looking for. Somebody that can attest to your values, to your work ethic, things that I mentioned before. That's what we're interested in. Even if you just got started painting or doing art, we want to know how you are working, in a team, in a project. That's what we're interested in.
And then, so now that we have gone back through and made sure that all of those questions that have stars are answered, we will click on the final submission button and we will click submit. So don't mistake clicking the final submission button as it being done. You do have to click submit. And so now we can see that thank you for submitting your application. And if you were to go back to your email, you would get that confirmation. And then, okay. So just to show you very quickly, the support services, very similar. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but so on the application information, you'll have the same background and the evaluation criteria. Then you can see if it's an individual, a for-profit company, or a nonprofit agency. You list the name, address, everything else. Same with, is your business located in San Antonio, and if so, what council district? And then you can provide the main contact for the business and a secondary if needed. So then we'll move into the references. And same thing, are you applying as an individual, a company, or a nonprofit? You can select if you have been previously pre-qualified or not. Here you can go into these questions that we asked you. So first is please describe your core business experience in working with art in public spaces. Please list your organization's key personnel, including their roles, technical experience, education, training, and certifications, and technical proficiency, media, and technical. And you can also note if the resume is attached and if all of that is said in the resume. Here you can have a list of projects that you've completed or upload your resume, and you can list all of the services that you provide. And of course, if we don't have it listed, you can list it below, and you can click off as many as you need. And then does your organization have any specialized resource, expertise, or capacities that you would like us to know about? If so, please describe. And then again, uploading the work samples, optional demographic information, and then clicking submit. And so here again, I didn't fill out anything, so it shows that I didn't know the required questions. But if you get through this and you've missed one or two, you can click back to answer that question, and then you can toggle back over here to submit, and then just really make sure that you click that final submission and the submit button. Wait for that confirmation screen to appear, and then check your email that it was confirmed. And that is the end of the demo. So I see that we asked if there was any more questions or comments. I'm not seeing any roll in. I think that we'll give it another minute or so. So please submit any final questions, or if you have any questions that we did not cover, you can email me directly or call me or email our public art email. And I just want to thank you guys so much for joining us. I know that we did have a little bit of technical difficulties, but we thank you for for joining us, and we regret that we couldn't see you in person, but we hope that this virtual workshop was helpful to you, and we look forward to seeing all of your applications.
Yes, thank you.